Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
It's now the #1 concern at the home of the Geckos.
We didn't see any exposed asbestos. We just saw some deterioration in the sealant.
George Washington High School is one of the island's oldest campuses and was built in the late 1960s. Asbestos tiling was a concern raised several decades ago and was covered over with sealant in the early 1990s. However, 30 years later, and today's tour revealed several rooms with cracks in the sealant that's supposed to be covering the asbestos tiling. Superintendent Jon Fernandez took a first-hand look at some of the cracks that have been covered over with cement or even duct tape.
So we're paying close attention to that issue. Of course, anytime asbestos is mentioned, people are going to be very concerned. For us, as long as the asbestos is not sort of broken up and able to get into the air, that would be our biggest concern. Right now, I think our next course of action is to bring an industrial hygienist in. We believe that we can seal over those areas, and that would be an effective measure.
While there is no definitive timeline for the industrial hygienist to assess the campus, Fernandez said DOE is working to procure those services, adding there are other problems the school needs to address. Other issues include piles of surveyed equipment and what appears to be illegal dumped tires behind the school that need to be removed, as well as musty smells in classrooms that have shut down at least one storage room and office space for school counselors.
We have an employee who has expressed respiratory concerns being in those rooms. So that's the issue we need to mitigate, but that would take a higher level of resources.
This is the 5th school tour Fernandez has undertaken in the past week, each showing a unique set of issues at the island's aging secondary schools.
At the end of the day, when we finish some of these visits, we're going to go back and say, how do we allocate, the resources that we do have? And what are we going to be able to tackle? What aren't we going to be able to tackle? And that will give us a blueprint for how we proceed.
The end goal, he said, is to ensure schools are safe and ready to open this August. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.